I have always wanted to go to Africa, and when I travel, I love to experience exotic wildlife and beautiful landscapes. In South Africa, it was the beauty of the human landscape that I most looked forward to, and in this, I was not disappointed. I was invited to South Africa on behalf of the Townships Project to meet and talk with microloan clients. In conversation with Martha Deacon, she discusses the townships and microlending.
The townships were put together as a result of the 1963 Group Areas Act, under which the apartheid government decided that they didn't want black people living in the white areas of the cities. So a law was passed whereby blacks had to live 20 kilometers outside the cities, and that's when the townships were created, specifically as dormitories for the black workers who supported the cities to reside in. So they were built totally as dormitories, without shopping malls, without shopping centers, without furniture stores or gas stations or shoe shops or anything you would expect to find, grocery stores. Those were only in the white cities, and the blacks came to the white cities to buy their goods from the white enterprises. Poverty, in many ways, is the number one challenge of the 21st century, the eradication of poverty. And the most effective fighter of poverty we found in the front lines is microlending. And that's because with a tiny amount of money, a household head, usually a woman, can take that, buy some products, and sell them, and get an immediate return and feed her children the very same day. Not waiting for anything, not waiting for government, not waiting for welfare. You can just do this immediately.
In our country, we understand how difficult it can be to start and run your own business. The microloan clients in the townships are truly admirable and capable people who have overcome tremendous struggles and are now, with the help of the Townships Project, achieving independence and providing a better future for their families.
I heard from the other wives who have got small businesses. They said there are people who said we must group us for the money. I got in there.
And then they offered you a loan?
Yes, that was Tetla. My charges were still paying not enough for me.
Right.
And I was working hard every day, but I don't see the money.
Yeah.
I think if I can just do the business, maybe it will be better.
And it is?
I say thanks to God today to think about that, because it's better than I did before. I'm happy with the business. I'm very happy with it because I can take my daughter. It goes to the college.
You can pay for her to go to
I
college?
did pay for her and finish her 2 years there.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great.
By spending time in the townships, I got a good sense of the strength and character of the people who live here. Not only through discussion and observation, but also through other means of expression.
So, how long have you been in business?
It's too late. It's now 10 years back. 10 years.
10 years.
Yes, 10
That's
years.
great.
That's great. But because of Ikusasa, the business is great because of Ikusasa.
That's
It helps
fantastic.
me so much.
That's great news.
It helps me so much.
So in 10 years, have you grown or just...
Yes, I've grown.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
good. And you make...
I've got my own house. I pay school fees for my kids.
That's great.
But maybe this is one of the girls that I met when it was my first time in Kisaka. She introduced me to Kisaka.
Fantastic.
This was one of them. And they are always friendly, those girls, They know
great.
how to talk with people.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's an important
that is why
skill.
you are proud of Ikusasa, because of them.
In discussion with Yvonne Redinku of Tetla, we explore the staggering challenges of the AIDS epidemic in South Africa.
We were talking about this earlier. How many funerals have you been to in the last month? This would be the second funeral in 3 weeks that I'm attending, and of the same thing.
And I wish that we could say that's rare, but of my friends in South Africa, they spend far too many weekends going to funerals.
Yes.
It's the social life. It's been reduced to going to funerals.
Cape Town doesn't have graveyard space, right?
Yeah, you don't.
They've run out. Cape Town has run out of space to bury people. And the majority of black people in this province bury their people in the Eastern Cape. But those who bury here, there's no space. It's much better if you have a micro-enterprise. Imagine a household where there's no enterprise. It's even worse because now they have to liquidate their assets to look after the sick people.
So developmental microlending, enterprise microlending has been a blessing to black families who have members with AIDS from that standpoint.
It is.
It's done at home. The micro-enterprise stays in the home so that you can work in the home while caring for both the ill person or perhaps that person's children.
Yeah. And we have also in terms of our policies, we allow people up to the age of 70 years to be on the program, primarily because we have grandmothers who are looking after orphans, and they use micro-enterprise profits to look after the children.
While visiting the rural area surrounding a town called Matatiele, we attended a meeting with the local microlending people and one of their client groups. As is often the case, microloans are initially issued to a group who mutually commit to paying back the loan. This was not your typical financial loan update meeting, not by North American standards anyway. The group recites a solemn oath regarding the repayment of the loan. They began the meeting with a song and proceeded to pray.
Singenza oku ngokuboleka imali eMatatela Financial Services.
Singenza oku ngokuboleka imali eMatatela Financial Services.
After the meeting, I was invited to take a look at the production end of the business.
Rebecca, please come closer. There's something for you in there.
Is there?
Yes, a lot. Oh my
How old are these?
Look at all of them.
Every experience I've had in this remarkable country confirms the rationale and worth of investing in the microlending movement in South Africa.
Microcredit becomes one of the most viable solutions to deal with the crisis of employment, because then people are self-employed, and in the enterprises that they run, they are supported by their family members. You'll find the husband, the children, they all support the micro-enterprise owner. It's not this one person alone, and it sustains more than 5 to 7 people.
Each loan,
Each
5
loan.
to 7 people.
And as we give them loans and the biggest businesses grow, they are able to change their lifestyles. They extend their houses. They eat better food. They're able to send their children to post-matric or post-high school colleges, and they are able to do things that they wouldn't do before. They have better health care because now they can pay for a private doctor. South Africa, with its strong first world economy, has a lot of private doctors which poor people can access if they can pay for them. And part of our services ensure that they can get that service.
Martha Deacon shares some insight that helps to put it all into perspective.
The critical thing in South Africa is that South Africa has such an enormous influence on the continent of Africa.
That's right.
And if South Africa is making progress towards poverty alleviation at the very grassroots levels, at the levels of the townships, 25 million subsisting on $2 a day, if 5 million of that 25 million in their own minds reach the middle class in the next 5 to 10 years, which would be a very worthy objective, and I believe an achievable objective, that will have dramatic influence on the entire continent. It becomes an opportunity that spreads up the continent. And the financing, the financial markets of sub-Saharan Africa are focused in South Africa. The manufacturing for sub-Saharan Africa is focused in South Africa. It is the economic engine of the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. So improvements in the poverty levels in South Africa will dramatically impact the whole continent. And this is the poorest, Africa is the poorest continent on the planet. So in fact, we all care, we are all affected very deeply by what goes on in South Africa. Whether or not we're aware of the ripples in the pond, whether or not we're aware of where that pebble was dropped into the pond, I would argue that that pebble was probably dropped in the pond in South Africa.